Here we are in front of the Mayflower Center. This is the corner of Main Street and Ann Arbor Trail. Now, you might be wondering, Jim, why are you standing in front of a building that was built in the 90s if this is all about history? Well, the neat thing about this corner is the fact that this very corner is where the first family that settled here in Michigan actually lived. They lived right at this corner. In 1825, the Starkweather family lived right here, and it was quite a primitive cabin shack kind of thing, but they were officially the very first family that settled here in Plymouth, Michigan. And the neat thing is the fact that that family has had such an influence on our community. That is the main focus of this first video. It's all about the influence of the Starkweather family. Here we are in front of 557 North Mill Street. This was the home of William Starkweather, who was one of our first settlers here in Plymouth. This is where he raised his family, he farmed the land here, and also this was the childhood home of George Anson Starkweather, which was one of their sons who was not only quite influential here in Plymouth, but he was actually the first non-native child that was born here in Plymouth. There's definitely a lot of history here. You definitely go through, some of the places around town, and the appreciation and the seeing that this place is still so well preserved. It's an awesome sight to see. I encourage you to come out and check it out. Okay, right now we're in front of the Starkweather Building, which is located at the corner of Liberty and Starkweather Street. Now, most people here in the community know it as Herman's Grill, and it's a pretty big hangout that a lot of people like to go to. But it actually is the Starkweather Building. It was built by George Starkweather in 1873. George was actually very instrumental in bringing the railroads here to town. We're one of the very few communities that has an east-west and a north-south railroad, and a lot of that had to do with him. So with that anticipation of the commerce that would actually bring, he decided to build the Starkweather Building. He had his dry goods store on the very first floor, and upstairs is where him and his family lived for about a couple years before they built their home diagonally across the street. Now, if you come check this place out, they have pretty well preserved this place, and it's an awesome place to come check out and see. Maybe have some eats, maybe have a drink. All right, so now we've moved diagonally across the street from the Starkweather Building. This is 711 Starkweather, and this is where George Starkweather built his family home, and for generations, many Starkweathers grew up and lived in this home. So there's so much history. I mean, the Starkweather family, throughout the years, have had such an influence on the Plymouth community and things that they've done. George himself was not only involved as a civic member of the community, but also with church and other things that he was involved with as a business owner, and things like that. I mean, there's just so much history in these walls, and if walls could talk, this would definitely be an awesome place that I'd love to just sit down and have a conversation with this place. Okay, here we are in front of 412 Starkweather Street. This house is actually built by George Starkweather around 1880. The cool thing is that this was actually the home of Mary Davis, who eventually became George's mother-in-law. The neat thing about Mary Davis is the fact that she was very much involved with the Underground Railroad here in Plymouth. She used to have an old farmhouse before she moved here, and was very much involved with the trafficking and organizing of the Underground Railroad. I mean, the history behind that is just so phenomenal. It's like, wow, can you believe that? We actually had a conductor essentially right here in Plymouth, and she lived right here in this house. Now, the other thing is that she was also involved with the Women's Christian Temperance Union, and she was one of the original members who actually started that right here in Plymouth. A lot of cool stuff, and it's right here in Plymouth. All right, so here we are at the corner of Mill Street and Liberty. The building behind me, the salon, a lot of people don't realize because it looks so modern, was actually the home of Heidis Flowers, which was originally built by George Starkweather in the mid-1800s. Why was it called Heidis Flowers? Well, One of the people who worked for him was Carl Heidi, and he eventually sold that greenhouse to Carl Heidi, and you had Heidis Flowers, which was in business for many years and was actually one of the longest running businesses here in Plymouth. So one of the neat things that I think is you think of how many people they served in our community for so many years, for funerals and weddings and so many things like that. A lot of cool history, and of course George Starkweather was behind this one. All right, so here we are at 550 North Holbrook. This is the Starkweather School, and the Starkweather family was actually involved with not only donating property, but involved with getting this school started. And it served our community so well for so many years and for so many generations of those who grew up here in Plymouth. Lots of memories here. When they closed the school down not too long ago, the fear was that they were going to tear this place down. I mean, what a great building. Lots of fabulous history, and the cool thing is they're not going to tear it down. It's been recently sold. It's actually going to become part of a housing community, so it's nice to see that we're going to see this building stick with us. And of course, it still carries on the Starkweather legacy. They were so much involved with this community, and it's cool to see that it's going to stick around and we all get to appreciate it for years to come. I know that was kind of a quick small bit of history about Plymouth. I hope you had a chance to enjoy this. Now, the thing is, there again, as I mentioned, I hope that my goal is to see that people will learn more about our rich history here in town, get an opportunity to appreciate some of the cool stuff that we have throughout here. And of course, if you want to learn more, be sure to visit my website, PlymouthMichiganDiscoveries.com.